Hello there. I am so glad to see y'all. I have been so on the road and so wide open, and it's just great to be here and be back home with Al. So I am really excited about tonight's show. First of all, I just want to tell everybody that is having a birthday this week because there's so many of you. I miss every one of you. Happy birthday. And Dave Considine, happy birthday, especially to you. So I am really excited about tonight's show. And we have had a tag team switch in, and I'm very excited about that because Shawnna was going to be here. We are going to have Danielle, and it's still all about the Doss House, which I found just looking for haunted locations, checking stuff out, and there it was on one of my searches. And they are actually having a really terrific fundraising event coming up. We're going to talk about that too. But I wanted to learn more about this location. Um, it's really it's really interesting. I think y'all are going to love this. Y'all can learn right along with me because I don't know nearly enough. But let's bring Danielle in. So, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here. I know you've worked hard all day, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And, I just put in chat that you were subbing in for Shauna.
I
And so
am.
that's a lot of fun too. But, when I was looking through things, because I research new locations that are, might be within a good little road trip and things like that. But I came across the Doss House and it piqued my interest. That's my family name. And I just wanted to know more about it. Can you can you fill in some gaps? Like, how old is this house?
Well, the original part of the house was built in 1810.
Wow.
It was actually the first structure built in this little town of Loretto, Pennsylvania. Yep,
Really? Very
it started in 1810 as a log house.
well. That's but it's a beautiful structure now too.
It is. It took them some time. It's a quaint little she's a old beauty, that's for sure. It took them some time, but over mm, well a while, they added on from the original structure, which was one basic single room, first floor and the second floor was the original. And then they added on a dining room off of that later. And then many years later, they added a kitchen and then a barber shop was built on the property.
Was it part of the actual house structure, or was it separate?
It was a separate entity back when it was originally built. Now, our name, the Doss House, came from the barber. So
Okay.
the barber lived there. His nickname was Doss, and his family. He was the only barber in the town, and that's how we came up with the name. So
Well,
that was his
perfect.
business, and he later on his wife got very ill, and the family, Doss's family and his children, actually joined the kitchen and the barber shop and made it one unit because that's where their mom actually had to stay
Mhm.
whenever she became ill. Uh, at that point, because Doss had already passed. So that's, yeah. And it was the home of the only town's doctor at one point and the only town's coroner at one point and the town's dentist.
So all of the medical people were
Yes.
affiliated with this house.
Yes.
Was it a private residence?
It was a private residence. Um, We didn't all the research we've been doing, which it's kind of hard to find a lot of things from 1810
Hmm.
in that era. But all the research we've been doing and uncovering, which we have a historian on our team. Her name is Brittany. She likes to dig for information.
Sure.
So a lot of the stuff didn't really show it as a residence until like 1840 something, which we were kind of surprised. Like we know that it existed in 1810. We found that when it was
Hmm.
built, but then it kind of just disappeared. I mean, there was really no record per se of it being a residence,
Really?
but yeah, which was kind of odd.
Yeah.
There's so many odd things about the house that we're uncovering. We did find in some of the documentation and from the historian that before it was actually deemed a private residence, it was kind of like the town's like meeting house. Um,
It's it's White House.
like a meeting house. It's kind of,
Okay. Yes.
yeah. So the original town's founder was Prince Demetrius Augustine Gallitzin. So he was the founder, and we kind of have found some things implementing that was the very first building he built. So we kind of feel that he kind of resided there, and that's where they kind of planned like how to build the town and how to build the church, which still is there. It's actually a minor basilica. It's beautiful.
Really?
Oh my goodness, it's
Oh
a
my gosh.
absolutely beautiful church. You can literally see it from the Doss house front door.
Oh wow.
It's breathtaking.
I- They normally are.
Yes, they
But
are.
I mean, they are. They're made to be awe-inspiring structures, even if they're small.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, who built the basilica?
That was also Father Prince Gallitzin, the founder of the town.
Okay.
Yeah. Between him
That's
and Charles Schwab. So I'm not sure. A lot of historians know who Charles Schwab is, and a
mhm.
lot of us East Coast people know who
So,
Charles Schwab is because he's the man of steel. He,
yes.
yes, he actually built at the other end of town a limestone castle, which still sits there.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it has beautiful gardens. The monks now reside in it. They basically donated, the Schwab family donated it to Mount Assisi, and now that's where they reside. So tons of history in the town.
There is. This is a fascinating place.
It
Well,
is.
how did you wind up there?
Well, we ended up there because all of this was kind of like a mission. My wife, Shawnna, her mom was the original founder of Unique Paranormal One.
Okay.
And she was a paranormal investigator and very into that community. Had some pretty amazing gifts of her own. And she, for 20 years, she just loved that community and paranormal. And unfortunately, her mom got sick, and within 6 weeks of being diagnosed with bone cancer, excuse me, Holly passed away.
I'm so sorry. That's so fast.
Sorry.
Okay. You never
Yeah.
have to
So
apologize for loving people.
my wife is the stronger one when it comes to emotions, which is weird, but yeah. So we took care of Holly and her last few weeks, and we became part of this paranormal adventure. It was Shawnna's mission to basically keep her mom's memory alive forever. So that's how we came up with Unique Paranormal 1.5. So we continued her group on.
I love that.
Yeah. So we basically found the Doss house because Holly's dream was to own a haunted Airbnb. That's what she wanted to do. She loved taking care of people. She loved, socializing with people, interacting with people, and she loved the spirit realm. So she wanted to kind of combine both of them, and that was her dream. That was her goal. So when she passed away and wasn't able to reach her goal, and it kind of became a mission of mine. And I'm
Hmm.
not I'm not sure why, but I'm always a very determined person. Whenever I want something, I usually get it. So I started looking for haunted places on eBay, on hauntedhouses.com. Like, I was going to buy a haunted location. So one day my wife and I were just driving around, and I was and we kind of stumbled across this house.
Wow.
And I was like, that house is creepy. And it is. So I started digging, and I got a hold of the owner and asked, kind of, a lot of people aren't real open to the paranormal world and that
That's true.
aspect. So I kind of was like, hey, could we possibly see your house? It wasn't even for sale.
Oh,
I
wow.
just, it was just sitting there. And they agreed to meet us at the house and let us look at the house. And we showed up, and I was like, I want it. And Shawnna was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We gotta make sure that just because it's old and creepy looking doesn't mean that it's actually haunted.
True that.
And she's right. So that was on a Thursday that we met with the owner. And we left there, and we asked the owner if we could bring us and a little bit of our group and some of our equipment out Friday night. And she said, yeah, sure, why not? So that's what we did. We went out the next night with us and a few group members. And needless to say, I mean, we own it. So
It
there's a
was
reason
there.
for that. Yep,
Yep.
there's a reason for that. We weren't even in the house 5 minutes getting our stuff. We weren't even set up. And literally our night started with a bang.
They were just waiting on someone to come find them.
They were. They were all
You
of
know,
these years.
I think that's very cool. I have friends that own other haunted locations, and it's always interesting to me that spirits are not bashful about interacting if it's somebody that they feel like is theirs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so obviously, when someone came looking, they were like, oh, thank God. Yes, we're here. Talk to us. We want to do this. That's what it
Ex-
sounds like. Is that how it felt?
that is exactly how it felt. It was the craziest thing. We were Now, mind you, this house had been sitting empty for almost 2 years. And it was not well maintained,
Mm.
and it was very hoarded out. Like,
Ah,
so hoarded out.
yeah, just full of stuff.
So, oh, so much stuff. So we cleaned off some of the furniture, and we were trying to cover up some of the furniture with things that we could sit on, and
Mhm.
we were all just getting ready to sit around and just kind of get our equipment out. Didn't even like
Right.
turn anything on, and I was standing there, and we're chit-chatting, and that it sounded like a cannon went off in the basement. And it was such a big bang that I was still standing up. that it literally raised the floor that I was standing on, and everybody sitting there felt it on their feet. And we were like, "Oh my God, what was that?" Now, mind you, the night before, the back basement door didn't have a lock on it, and me and one of our teammates' husband, who does not believe, him and I were like, there's a squatter. There has to be somebody in the basement. So out the door we went and down back, and we're back there with no weapons and a flashlight, and that's all we got. And we're
Right.
walking into this big hoarded basement. And so we walk in and we're looking around, try to get through. We grab a tire iron just in case when we go to the back old basement,
Right.
somebody's just hanging out there and decides that they're going to let us know. We get to the back basement, and the weirdest thing was it was literally the only part of the entire house that had nothing in it.
Really?
Nothing. Nothing at all. It was completely empty. So
There's
we were
only too
kind
many reasons that would be.
right. Like we were
Yes.
like, what is this about? So we're looking around because that old original basement, which was completely empty, was the basement that was right below where we all were in the living room, which is the original 1810 structure.
Get out.
Yeah, not joking. We were so him and I were like trying to debunk everything because my scientific brain, that's how I just go. And we're looking at the rafters, which are made out of original trees,
Mhm.
and they're all sound. There's nothing cracked, nothing had fallen. Like the furnace is in that part of the basement, but the furnace vents aren't anywhere near that ceiling part. There's like a foot space, so couldn't have come from any kind of clunking from the furnace turning on or
Mhm.
nothing like that. So we could not figure it out. We went back upstairs, and everybody's sitting there with this like look of sheer fear on their face of what we were going to tell them, that there was somebody in the basement. And we we said no, there was nobody in the basement.
And
Nothing.
nothing.
Nothing happened.
That's so wild.
It was crazy. And the
Welcome to the
night
jungle.
just exactly. Exactly. We were just like, we were so floored and just so, yeah, it was pretty awesome. So needless to say, the rest of the night actually investigating was pretty spectacular.
Well, what was the next something? I
Oh,
mean,
I mean, I, where do I start? We have seen shadow figures, and not just us. We're talking our groups that have come in, catch shadow figures. We have seen actually like not necessarily full body apparitions. Like
right.
people have basically said that they've seen legs for some reason. I don't know why, but legs on the stairs that go from the dining room up to the bedroom. Oh, yeah. There's weird placement of crosses that we have found. Like a lot of the stuff that is still in the house, probably 80% is stuff that we uncovered in the house and
Mhm.
and left it there that could be salvaged. We have, yeah. Probably the weirdest thing was our our UFI camera system.
Mhm.
What happened to it was kind of crazy. Like it was stuck in a time loop from it
What?
was it so we get in there and we hit the ground running. We got it literally cleaned out, and we had it up and operational and safe for public
Mhm.
within 6 weeks. And we installed a camera system. Every room has a camera system. It has a camera.
Mhm.
And I was at work in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and my wife and our son were out there doing some stuff around the house. And I just pulled up the Eufy camera to check in on them, and I seen this shadow through the dining room in the kitchen by like the ramp that goes to the barber shop. And I thought maybe it was just one of their shadows, like maybe they
Mhm.
were moving around the kitchen. So I messaged her and I said, "Hey, where are you at?" She's like, just left the house. We're in the truck." And I was like, "Wait, you're not in the house?" And she said, "No, we're not." I said, there's something or someone in the house." I said, "Because I just seen a whole shadow at the bottom of the ramp." And she's like, "What?" I said, "Yep." So she won't go in the house by herself ever. So she gets our son and they go back in and she's looking at, and I'm watching her on the camera. And she she said, "I don't see anything." So they walk back out, and just as they're walking back out, me and a coworker are watching the Eufy camera. And just as I watched them walk through the dining room into the living room, the shadow comes flying over back into the picture again at the bottom of the ramp and just
He
stood
was
there for a
hiding.
second. Exactly. So the weirdest part of that though was in that moment, that's when I realized that the timestamp on our Eufy camera in the kitchen was Jan was well, it was December 31st, 1969. And I was like, well, that can't even happen. These cameras didn't even exist in 1969. So
Yeah,
then
but that spirit did.
uh that's I'm right. I was like, this is crazy. So I'm talking to my wife, Shawnna, on the phone, and I'm telling her, I said, "That's not the craziest part. Look at the cameras." And she pulled it up and she said, "Oh my gosh, December 31st, 1969." So she's going through all of the other room cameras.
Right.
The kitchen was December 31st, 1969. The barber shop was January 1st, 1970. All the other cameras were perfectly fine.
Oh my goodness.
And for like 3 months, they ran like it, and it was weird. They didn't run even like a 24-hour thing. They kind of ran like a 27-hour thing, but only between those 2 days. So we were like, what is happening? We took the memory cards out, put new memory cards in. We called the camera security company, like, and they were like, well, change the time zone to like China and then change it back to see if it resets the camera or something. We tried
Right.
that, nothing. Everything they told us to try, we tried and nothing changed it. And then they were like, well, we can send you new cameras. And we were like, no,
No,
we're
we're
good.
good.
No, we want to like,
We're going to keep these.
we're gonna keep these. They're doing great.
Yes.
And
What?
then we had a New Year's Eve party to see if we could figure out what happened in
Mhm.
1969, because obviously something happened
That night.
detrimental to somebody that
Mhm.
night. So we threw a big New Year's Eve party and nothing. We didn't really uncover anything particular to do with that evening. But our team member Brittany had her camera there, and she's taken photos and stuff of the evening and events to put on our social pages and stuff like that. So she gets home the next day. She just takes the pictures and she gets home the next day and she's going through her footage, and her camera said on some of the pictures December 31st, 1969. And some of the
Get out.
Not we are not joking. We still have screenshots of our camera or of our Eufy cameras of her timestamp on her Canon
Yeah,
camera, and some of her pictures said January 1st of 1970. And
that is the
after that,
coolest thing. I've never heard of that.
us either. And then after that, and she took the pictures, our UV cameras corrected themselves and now they're perfectly fine.
I'm glad you got the screenshots.
Exactly.
I mean,
Because
seriously.
nobody would ever believe it without it.
Well, the right people would, but
Yeah,
it's always nice to have backup.
it is. I love proof.
Yes, me too. So, it's hard. It's hard enough in this field, right? To there's always going to be the people that aren't going to believe you, no matter what the situation is, no matter what, and
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
frustrating, but it's absolutely true. But I still also believe that extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence, and
Yes.
you've got it.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
the
we do.
that's the coolest thing ever.
It was actually pretty awesome. Yeah.
You
So
know,
we've had
I've
lots of
never heard of
awesome
that.
experiences.
I have never heard of anything like that happening. I've
Us either.
I know that a friend of mine owns an old jail in Ohio, and there's a lot of research that she's been doing for years that is astounding. And the evidence that when spirits become more than just, you know, ghosts in your house kind of things, when they begin building relationships, and they do. A lot of people don't get that, but they do. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
finding that too. Um, they will provide you with stuff. Do you have particular spirits in the DOS house that interact with you more often?
Um, we do have a few spirits that seem to interact with almost everybody though. Like we have like I shouldn't say that. Like the barber Doss
Hmm.
interacts with me a lot. Um he interacts with males a lot though too because
Hmm.
he was a barber. Um he likes to pop in here and there, mostly in the barbershop, in the living room for some reason. So he likes to interact with certain people. But it's kind of weird because when certain people in our group are with us,
Hmm.
um, the house is much more, let's say, stagnant.
Hmm.
It it's you know they're there and you can feel that they're there, but they
Hmm.
kind of like our team
They're
member
quiet.
Amy. Yeah, our team member Amy. The house does not actually like Amy, and it makes it very known that yes,
Oh
all the
my.
time. Yes, the house all the time tells Amy that it doesn't like her. And she has bought the house gifts to try to make amends and she's never done anything because she's actually a pretty wonderful human. So
Well,
I
I mean, it could simply be that somebody knows her or knows
yeah,
her energy from a past life too.
and yeah, maybe. And she tries so hard. She takes it to heart
Well,
that the
it's
house sometimes is a little standoffish with her.
well, I've been places that, and I used to be really offended by it because I'm so sorry. I tried not to do
No,
that.
no
But
worries.
there was you know, there are places that I will go that I will be called unpleasant names. And I'm like, I'm a nice person. Sometimes that's followed by damn it after enough times, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm lovely. What are you doing? But sometimes they just do that. And it's very disconcerting when you know that have ability to, you know, create discomfort.
Yeah.
And my friend Lori in chat says, "I know that feeling. Yes, you do." But
Yeah.
you know, but I'm also the person that um I had a phone conversation with the ghosts at my friend's jail because I was supposed to be there and couldn't be.
Oh,
And so all of my friends that were there were like, "Well, let's call her." And so they got me on the phone and I was like, "Hey guys, it's Kat." And all the equipment was going off. So they do
that's
like
kind
me there sometimes, you know.
see, and that's
But
kind of like the well, the Doss house is it is very active.
mhm.
A lot of things happen. Footsteps are heard by groups all the time, all the time, all the time. We have had groups ran out of there. Like,
Oh,
oh yeah, we've had some, yeah. So there are some very strong
mhm.
um jokester kind of like
Yeah,
energy there, if you know what I'm saying with that.
yeah.
I I don't I'm a firm believer in like the kind of person you are in life is going to be the kind of person you are in death.
You're still you.
You are still you. And I we do feel there's some groups and we've had some psychic mediums come through that they do feel that there is a very strong elemental
Mhm,
energy that resides in the basement, which is actually the part of the basement that had nothing in it.
mhm.
And above that door, leading from what we call the new basement into the old basement, is a black crucifix. And that's
Was it
where it
there
was
when you got
hanging.
there?
Yes, it was. And we left it there
Good plan.
because there was a crucifix on the basement door that leads you down to the basement. We left that crucifix there. And the house is very ornamental with a lot of religious artifact.
Mm,
The light
okay.
switches are actually religious. The light switch covers are actually religious. They're of Mary and Joseph, and there's a lot of religious, and it's a very Catholic town.
Right.
Um, but so all of those things, we found a scapula from we don't know who, and we don't know why they hung it where they did, which was the weirdest spot, but that's where we left it. So all of those things, the cross that we found hanging on the wall in the barber shop right beside the barber's workstation, we left it.
Yeah. There's some things you don't touch.
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely. There's some
Yes.
things you don't mess with.
Yeah. And West Virginia Paranormal had an amazing Estes session in the barber shop about that cross. They
Really?
yes,
What'd they
yes.
get?
Oh, they asked um the one gentleman was under Estes in the barber's chair he was sitting, and they asked about who this was a while ago, something about who was the savior, and they said Jesus, and he was and they said, okay, well, if if this is real and you're here and you actually want to communicate with us, you need to tell us what is on the wall. Then what is Jesus on the wall? And he said some some name, which a name that comes up a lot in the house, which the name is John. And
Okay.
he said, okay, well, John, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking what is on the wall. What's hanging right there on the wall? And next word was cross, savior. So, like, yeah, that was a fantastic Estes method that they
That
had.
is fantastic.
Yeah, like, I still go to their YouTube and
Mhm.
watch it every
You're gonna have to
every
send me
once in a
that
while.
link. I would love to see
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we will for sure because it's amazing.
well,
It was crazy.
how many teams are around you? How many teams are actively investigating this place? Do you have particular people that are regulars or
N
no?
No, I mean, we one of our, I mean, it's anybody can book an overnight with us. So, we have a lot of groups that most of the groups we don't know
Okay.
because they reach out to us and we book overnight investigations. You get 12 hours and at set price but probably the group that's closest to us, Dark Hollow Paranormal, they're a
Mhm.
pretty big group. They're they're right back home with us. They go there probably the most often. Um, they rent they rent a whole weekend from
Mhm.
us because their group is so big and they're due a Friday and Saturday night so they can kind of split it up because
Mhm.
it is a small structure and it's an old structure. So
Yeah.
it's not like these other big ones where you can have a group of 10 people or 15 people. It The house also does better when there's smaller groups. It's much more the house responds a lot better, we feel, with a little bit more of an intimate group, like 4 or 5 people, 6 people.
Do you think that that's because the house gets intimidated? I've wondered
I
about things like that.
I think that's a part of it, and I think that because the house is so new and there's so much history, we're talking, what, 200 years,
Mhm.
that and the land itself has so much history between, your Miners Basilica and the cemetery right there and Schwab Estates at the other end, and it's a very small town. You can
Mhm.
walk from one end to the other end in about 7 minutes.
That is so small.
No, it is so small. And that the land did have 4 Native American groups there first
Mhm.
before Prince Gallitzin came over and decided that he wanted to make a town. So we have, actually marked uh American, Indian tribe burials like 6 miles away. So the land itself has a lot of history. And I think when those big groups go in, sometimes it might just be overwhelming because we
I
do
would
have
think.
so many new spirits coming through all the time, and we're still all trying to learn what they all have to say because some of them come through, a lot of them come through at one time. So you have to kind of sometimes tell them, like, okay, we're going to have to take turns,
Right.
everyone, because they're very chatty sometimes.
I think that's fun when that happens, but it's so hard to be able to ascertain who you're actually speaking with
Yes.
because
And
they're
to
all
try to
trying
get
to.
their story.
Right.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's what we're there for, is to try to learn their stories and try to learn their history and try to, determine who they are and what they were. And so we can give them a voice since they still don't really have one.
Well, it sounds like they're reacting to that pretty well. I
They
mean,
are.
really, because I think that that's all anybody wants, you know, and since we don't know why they're still with us, no matter what the location, we can we can a lot of times presume that we have an idea or presume that we know, but we don't know why they're still around. We don't know why they're still feeling led to have interaction with us
Right.
because, if they're still there, they're still in their dimension. So
Right.
do they really need us? You
Right.
know, and I think that they don't need us, but I think it's a wonderful gift when they choose us.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
that's
Two of our spirits that are there quite often and interact with a lot of people, and a lot of teams say that they see them and they interact with them.
mhm,
Are we have a little boy and a little girl there, and we're not real sure like their story.
mhm,
So we're still trying to figure that out. We're still trying to figure out names. Like they're very playful and they're very mischievous.
mhm.
And they're there almost all of the time, but we're still trying to figure that out too. Like there's been a little girl spotted in a green dress. That's like, and that story has gone back to actually the barber when he was alive. His One of his best friends is the town historian.
Mhm.
He's actually still alive,
Okay.
and
Oh,
has told us about the experience that Doss would have and see this little girl in a green dress all the time, and she was very mischievous and she liked to knock over his ashtray, and so, so she still does wander about. And
well,
it's
that's
kind of funny.
interesting.
It's very interesting, and it's kind of funny because generally when she's around,
Yeah.
Doss is around too. So it's yeah, it's kind of neat. It's kind of
It is.
endearing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, did anybody know where she originated? Did Doss ever
No,
get an answer on that?
no, and that's the thing is like we don't we're still trying to figure that out, and sometimes with the amount of spirits that are trying to communicate, whether they're from the actual house or whether they're from the actual town,
Mhm.
sometimes it's kind of like a floodgate there. Like there's just so much, and as more groups are going in and and book investigations and they're going in, some of them are starting to chip away at some of the more prevalent spirits.
Mhm.
Like we have a spirit, his name is John, and he seems to be attached to the bed upstairs in the upstairs bedroom. So we did come, get that information, and it seems that John passed away from a heart attack in
In
that
the
bed.
bed.
So
Yeah.
so they that has come through over and over many different groups. So we kind of feel that John has established his part,
Mhm.
but
Well,
a
you've gotten the
bunch of the other
information
ones
out.
are still kind of, yeah. Yeah, so we're all still trying.
Well, this is so interesting because, you have a little girl that's been there since Doss was living, interacting with
Yes.
him, and now you've got him and her interacting. And then
Yes.
you have John who died in the house in the bed that people get
Well,
activity around, and now he's introduced himself.
yes. Well, that bed was brought in. It was not in the house.
Oh, so he died in the
He
bed elsewhere.
he did. He did. So I found that I found that out when after went to pick the bed up.
Hmm.
I just went on Facebook and was looking for an antique bed because the bedroom had no bed. There
Right.
is only one bedroom, well, in a small child's room,
Hmm.
very, very small. Um, so I was like, we need an antique bed to put in here. Like, we need to have a bedroom, like someplace if people do want to actually sleep.
Yeah.
So I went and I picked it up, and afterwards is when I found out. Well,
You bought a haunted
they,
bed.
yeah,
How
the
appropriate.
yes, the grandson that sold it to me was like, so I hope you don't mind, but yeah, that bed that you took, my grandfather passed away in that. I was like, it's okay because it's gonna
It's
fit the
going in a
house
haunted
just
house.
fine.
We'll just take another ghost.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
fine.
gosh. I
So
have to give a shout out to Raymond in chat too. Hey Raymond. But and Brittany, by the way, is in chat. So
hey Brent,
so
that's the
but
historian.
yes. So, I think it's just so interesting because I just A, I love people who have haunted locations because y'all are special people. And, the fact that you did this in honor of Holly is just brilliant.
Yeah,
Does she come through to to
all the
y'all?
time,
What does
all the time.
she what is her primary message to you through this?
Uh, Basically, it's just to let her know that this is my take on this. Holly was a very tiny little woman, but she was mouthy when she needed to be. So my take on this is it's basically her like saying, "Hey, I'm still here. What are you doing? You're not doing that right, and why are you doing that? And let's not do that. And you stop being an a jerk." And yeah, because that's Holly.
That's hilarious. But you
Yep,
know what? I mean, she's the reason that you're into this anyway. So,
yep,
I think it's cool that she's getting to have her part of that.
exactly. And I
I mean,
think that's how I take it is like she's
yeah.
like, oh, look, because she follows Shauna on almost every investigation we go on because that was something that her and Shauna shared.
Hmm.
Like Shauna wasn't really like, how it is whenever you're growing up and your mom can, talk to dead
Yeah.
people and you're like, yeah, my mom's kooky. But as Shauna got, older, she started going with Holly because she just wanted to spend time with her.
Hmm.
And then she kind of realized that her mom wasn't really kooky, that she actually could do the things that she said she could do. And so Shauna started to learn about the paranormal world a little bit. And
Hmm.
then when Holly passed away, it just that's when it became Shauna's mission. Like that's when the paranormal world became even more important to her because even with her mom, I feel, even with her mom being not of living form, they still can share that.
Hmm.
They still share that bond through the paranormal love that they both have now.
Well, that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. I mean, my mom, I had no idea. I knew that my grandma was, you know, very into the metaphysical, but I did not know until I was doing this show. I've done this show for 10 years. And my mom had Alzheimer's. I took her to lunch one day and she was like, "What's the name of your show?" And I was like, "Well, I do two now, but Paranormal Experience is my first one." And she was like, "Oh, don't you hate it when they line up by your bed when you're trying to go to sleep and they just want to keep talking to you?" And I'm like, "Excuse
Yeah.
me?" She was like, "Yeah." She said, I said, "Well, what did you do?" She said, "I just told him to go talk to my mom. I was little and I needed to go to sleep." And I'm like, "Okay." That explains a lot, you know.
See?
But the things
Yes.
you don't know, right?
Yep.
And so that confirmed my grandma, for one thing, and it gave us even at this late point of her life, it was a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And, it was just kind of like, how often did that happen? Because, yeah, when she was talking about it the first time, it was when she was little. She was,
Yeah.
I'm little. I need my sleep. Go talk to my mom. And I was just blown away. And I think it's funny because I had been doing paranormal investigation for ever before then, and didn't really talk to her too much about it because she was very religious all of a sudden there for a while. And then she developed Alzheimer's. And as it worsened, there were less opportunities to have conversations. And, but that was one of them,
Yeah.
you know, and it kept coming up. So there was that. And
Yeah. And see, things are still kind of linked
yeah,
also
they
because of
are.
that.
Yeah. And the same with Shawnna,
Yeah.
you know, and because of that link that she had with her mom, and because you love her, here you are
Yeah.
doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so cool. And
Yeah.
you're a medical person.
I am. I have been in medicine for 27 years.
Yeah. And I find
Yes.
that interesting because one of the people that I love to investigate with is a medicine person. And he's um, very grounded, very um, professional,
Yeah.
and had an experience that actually made it to a television show once, but it
Um,
was life altering and almost life shattering, and
yeah.
it worked out. But it's so interesting because there are a lot of people like y'all in your fields because y'all have experiences through work.
Yes.
And to me, I find that interesting because I I am not the kind of person that would make a good medical person. I my empathy, you have to you have to have empathy, but you have to be able to control that in your emergency
Correct.
environments. And I do not do that very well because it will just fly
Yeah.
all over me. And so know your limitations is a good thing. But
Yeah.
when how do you cope with things that might come about through your work? Is that
Like
okay to talk
spirit.
about?
Yeah. Yeah. Like spirit wise
Like spirit wise, like
or
the
like things that I have to deal with.
well, a little bit of both because I think that sometimes they might coincide. Do they?
Uh, yes, I do. I do think now. I do think now for sure. Because like I said, I was always very the naysayer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
also raised a certain religion where, you kind of don't aren't supposed to believe in everything.
Yes.
Um, so and being a scientific brain,
Mm-hmm.
I generally always had a reason why something happened, or, this happened because of XYZ, or
Yeah.
I always had an excuse per se. But over the last 2 years, um, the more that I have experienced the paranormal because of my wife
Yeah.
and, the connection she had with her mom, um, there are things that have happened to me that I cannot scientifically explain, even though I'm still trying. I still
Yeah.
can't get that answer, so it's kinda, like, mind-blowing to me because I'm pretty used to always having an answer. So, there are definitely things that happen to me, um, more so, like, lately. It seems to have gotten, mm, a little bit more intense since I, came up here to New Hampshire
Mm.
for this, contract, um, kind of seeing things around the hospital that are definitely patients, but they're not there. So
Previous
that's
patients?
yes. So
Okay.
that's kind of yeah, that's kind of thrown me off a little bit. So um yeah, and just I think just, dealing with the traumas that, we have to deal with and seeing the things that we have to see kind of sometimes sometimes it can heighten, I guess,
Mhm.
our our thoughts or our visions or our like audibles a lot. And but also I think it also makes us kind of numb to it though too, if
To a
that makes
degree,
sense.
I think that's absolutely logical.
Yeah.
It's maybe to the physical side because you have to develop that thick skin in order to do what you do.
Yeah.
No matter what field of no matter what medical field you're in, you come across things that you need those shields,
Yes.
and that's just a given. And
Yeah.
which is why I can't do that. I'm a paralegal. I don't do medical. But
Yeah.
it's really one of those things that like I said, my friend that I investigate with is he gets a lot of he's becoming more sensitive to things. They're affecting him more and interacting with him more.
Hmm.
And I find that really interesting because he's very much an empath, but other things happen too.
Yes.
And being an empath is tough
Yeah.
because it just shows up all over you, doesn't it?
Yeah. My
I mean,
my my wife is definitely that's her niche.
yes,
That's her. She can absorb energy and put energy like yeah. That's definitely Shauna's gift.
yes. It's not
Yes.
always a gift.
It's not always
It's
a gift
sometimes it's
because
not.
yeah, that is very true because I have seen how living humans emotions and their actions and how they carry themselves, I've seen how it takes such a grand toll on her and hits her a lot different than it hits me.
Yeah,
Yeah, she takes feelings literally to heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it sucks.
So it does suck.
I mean,
And
it really
we're
does.
we're we're working through that. She's
Yeah.
she's she's doing really amazing with working through that and learning how to navigate that a little bit better.
Well, it's very difficult. And, I'm glad that she has someone like you that is understanding and sees these experiences and, you know, can guide because you need somebody for that.
Yes, I'm much more blunt. I'm
That's a good
much
thing.
more yeah, yeah. She likes to believe the good in everybody and I am the opposite.
Yeah.
Um
I have the
I,
opposite
I
in the
don't
other
believe
room.
yeah, you're going to have to prove to me that you're good.
Yeah. Show me.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't just give you that option.
usually I'm very good at reading that.
Me too.
And every so often, because, you know, every so often I will get sideswiped.
Yep, it does
And
happen.
I'm sure that happens to her a lot. It's just very, um, very difficult. Do you have spirits in your house who are not as they try to present at first?
In the DOS house?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have transients?
I would like to say I'm gonna say yes for sure. Yeah.
Because
We definitely have that element or that entity, that energy per se
uh
that kind of lurks in that old basement. Um, that's the one we like to call the trickster.
yes.
That's the one that will like to it kind of can make or break how an investigation goes. And depending on how the investigators pick up on it per se,
Hmm.
because it likes to have you chase your own tail.
Uh,
It
yeah.
will send you to this room and it will send you to this room and it will send you to here. And so we do have that going on. It likes to it's the weirdest thing. I mean, it kind of doesn't do it to us I mean, it tries, but
Right.
I think it kind of knows that we know
Right.
that, yeah, yeah. So yeah, we do have that there. It sometimes definitely throws other investigators and other groups off. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's and it sometimes it's very pushy and can be very dominant.
Really.
Yes. Yep.
How does it try
Yes.
to? How does it try to show its dominance?
Um it has no problem, like if a group sitting in there, it will have no problem kind of like hovering over and making people feel uncomfortable, unwelcomed, a
Hmm.
little uneasy. Um, they do get audible growls from that part of the basement. It has told pretty plain as day on, Spirit Box, um, you know, F off
Right.
or get the F out or it, yeah, it kind of likes to, yeah. So, and we've there's some other things that have come up with the basement that's kind of weird. We've had ever since we bought the house, like we get told to dig a lot, and not just us, all groups. And
Really.
therefore,
In the house?
yeah, in the basement is a dirt floor.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the basement has a dirt floor. The whole basement is dirt. There is a dirt crawl space behind the steps. It's very unsettling in the
Hmm.
basement. Um, we've come across some like weird findings, uh, you know,
What
old
kind of
bones.
findings?
And we've found some old bones that we don't we don't know for sure if they're animal or not. They don't kind of look like animal bones. Um, we have found shoes in the wall. There is a weird mantle that is literally built on the wall from the new basement and the old basement. On that wall, there's just this weird, like fireplace mantle, but the wall is solid. But here sits this, and it's attached permanently on that wall.
Really?
Yes, it's and the mantle sits where the mantle sits. The
Hmm.
doorway is to the left of it, and right above that doorway is where that black cross is. And it's weird things like we've had psychic mediums come through the house and say things about, was this like a orphanage, or was there's a lot of kid energy, like there's kids here but they're not happy kids, like
Hmm.
they So we were like, not that we know of, but and then they have told us to stop digging. The mediums have said stop digging. And we were like, okay. And they're like, because there is something buried here in these grounds that is supposed to stay there. So stop looking and stop digging. So this entity that keeps telling you to dig is telling you to dig for a reason, but you shouldn't. You should leave it there. There's this weird,
That's weird.
we thought the same thing. We were like, what? I mean, it kind of all stems back to like we did find out from the town's historian that the family, the Barber's family that lived in there, um, was having some unique paranormal happenings or things were happening in the home that they couldn't have answers to. They didn't have explanations for. It was kind of affecting the children because they had 6 children. So there was like a lot of them in this tiny little house.
Hmm.
So they actually brought a paranormal group in 1976 to that house. It was the only time that it's ever been investigated before we bought it.
Right.
And the all the historian told us was the night that it happened, it was very hush hush because, like I said, it was a Catholic town. And the paranormal group came in and they did whatever they did that night. And the next day, he didn't want to be nosy, but he asked his friend, the barber, Doss, like, so everything good? Like, everybody okay? And all Doss told him was that there was an unpleasant entity that resides in the basement and that they supposedly tried to take care of it. So we don't know if that's where like the cross came from. We don't really know. They just never talked about it after that, he said.
Wow.
So that was kind of weird.
It's a shame that he didn't journal.
Uh, I know, I
Right.
know, I
We need
know,
chronicles here, chronicles of
I
Doss.
I know. Could that would be a great series.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah,
That's just, you know, I am so, I'm really impressed that a 1970s paranormal team came up there because it's such a random place to find one. But,
exactly.
it's, I know that in the basement feels weird. Do you ever have anything that feels threatening?
I think it tries to feel threatening.
Ah, yeah.
If that makes sense. I
Yeah, it
think
tries to
it
intimidate.
I think that if it if the people that are there lets it feel threatening and
Mhm.
intimidate, then that's and it has done it to groups because they have definitely exited quickly. Um, so I think, do I think that it can feel threatening? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But it's kind of like humans, if you're a
Yes.
bully and you let somebody bully you, they're a bully.
Yeah, but if you don't let them, all of a sudden they're not so much.
Right. Like,
Yeah, that's
yeah, the entity in the basement does not care for me.
yeah. Well, you're a strong person,
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
voice is
So
strong. So,
yeah. And yeah, that's probably why I always my wife or when our group's in there, if I can't be there, they always make me call and talk to the house.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the house seems to like when I talk to it.
What do you tell it?
Oh, just that I'm here and I'll be home soon and I'll see you soon. And I have friends coming in. It's okay. You can talk to them. They're not going to hurt you. They're just there to learn your story. Nobody will ever hurt you. That's not what we're here for. You give us respect. We give you respect. That's how it goes. Kind of that.
It's a good message.
Yeah.
Have you had anybody? This is going to be a sensitive question, but I don't think it's that kind of sensitive. But I know that some of my friends who own locations have had people come through who, and they have resident spirits. It's research locations, and these spirits are very comfortable being where they are. They're not doing harm. They're not being harmed. It's a relationship they have with the owners of the place, and it's it's almost friendships to a certain level. And there are people who feel it's their obligation, for whatever reason, to go to these places and release the spirits. Do you have people who try to do that at your place?
We have not. We have not yet. But like I said, we've only been open since October of last year.
I didn't
And
realize that.
yeah, we opened up on October 31st of last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're almost to your anniversary.
We
Halfway
are.
there.
Yes, we are. So and we probably have had, I mean, if I'm just guessing, honestly. We've probably had like 30 or 40 teams come through
Hmm.
since then. Um, and so far, no, nobody has done any of that. They're all there with the intent of interacting with the spirits,
Hmm.
trying to learn who they are, what their purpose is, why they're there, what their story is. I do have to say we've been very lucky with all of the wonderful groups that have come through, that they all have been very respectful and wonderful
Hmm.
people to our spirits and our property.
How hard do you screen? Or do you screen?
We do not screen, but we do have cameras in every single room,
Good.
and we only live about 20 minutes from that property. So
Good deal.
yeah,
I always worry about that because they're, I feel like spirits are sometimes vulnerable, which
agreed.
sounds crazy, but I don't think it's really crazy because, you do have those people that, away with you, bad spirits or whatever. Obviously, if you're still here, you must be a demon. I mean, all this crap.
Yeah, I
And
yeah,
your
and
spirits are,
we don't travel down that road either. Like,
uh-uh,
and I get it. Like, to each their own. Like, we all have different thoughts and beliefs. I get,
we
but
do.
that's not the road that me or my wife travel on. And
Well, I get that, but that's why I
we
was saying
try
it's
to,
so.
yeah, we try to hopefully nip that in the bud if anybody.
Well, you would have to, because
Yes.
at that point, I mean, a child spirit, especially, they don't know that they have recourse, right?
Yeah.
An adult spirit probably does know that I can fix that, right?
Right.
But then
Ex-
when somebody starts just going nuts, I've seen that happen before. I was doing residentials at the time, and we went and we just calmed the house, just,
mhm.
did a, not a cleansing of the spirits, but just cleansing of the energy,
Yeah.
and just kind of calm things down. And like 2 weeks later, they called another group that came in and were crazy. They were they were not good people.
Yeah.
And they did an exorcism on a 6-year-old
Oh, geez.
in that home. And I was like,
Oh,
let me meet you somewhere because, because I know who it was. And I was just so taken aback. I was like, do you know what kind of emotional trauma you probably caused? And
yeah.
I was in that home. There was nothing like that there.
Yeah.
And how dare you do that without having gone through seminary and being very well versed in that, not going through some mail order
Yeah.
exorcism program, right?
Yeah.
So I was so bent because that wasn't the kind of activity that they were having anyway. And
Correct.
I
Like,
just, that's why when I talk to people like you, I'm like, now you are watching these people going through, you know. I
yeah,
mean, there are going to be negative spirits.
oh,
They
yeah.
exist. But,
Oh, yeah.
usually they're just human spirits that are pissed off about something.
Correct.
And
Or they were just pissed off when they were alive humans. Like,
yeah, I mean, I firmly believe that if you're a schmuck when you're alive, you're a schmuck when you're dead sometimes. And if you're nice, the other way too. I
I
think you are who
com
you were.
I completely agree with you. Your energy is your energy
Hmm.
through and through. It
Yeah.
yeah. Just yeah, because your vessel passes away, I
Hmm.
mean, your energy still is your energy.
Yeah.
So, it's just out there floating around now without a vessel, but still
Yeah.
the same energy.
But you still, and I think that's why so many people still walk the same paths, you know,
Mhm.
like, you know, the Gettysburg, the first time I ever pulled through there, I saw what I thought were reenactors down at that house on the left as you come in. And
Mhm.
when I looked back, they weren't there. And I was like, oh, look, I did not, I did not shield. I didn't know I was on the battlefield. But
Right?
yeah, which I'm glad I didn't because I would have missed that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that's what I saw because I know there are other things that are not as visually pleasant because of what
Yeah.
happened there. But
Yeah.
you know, you're still you're still you.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, we have so far really been lucky. Like I said, we've had nothing but great people, great groups coming through. Um, some just some come through and have come through and have come through again because they just idolize the Doss house
Mhm.
and the spirits that reside and the energy that is there. Because it definitely is its own energy field for sure. As soon as you walk in, you can just feel it.
Right.
And we've had a couple people, or a couple like smaller groups, that their purpose is to find, they want to find negative stuff.
Mhm.
That's and that's fine.
Until
That's
they
that's
do.
their thing. That's right. That's
Right.
what they're looking for. That's what they want. They want that negative experience. Or we've had some that weren't so pleased with the activity at the DOS because it was not demon like.
Yeah. I don't know why people think they want to find that.
I'm not really sure. I mean, like I
It's a
said, to each their own,
strange thing to
but
look for.
yeah, it's bad enough that I have to, on a daily basis deal with assholes that are alive. So I don't really want to look for them afterwards either.
Right?
So yeah.
Yeah, because you can't do anything about them afterwards. You can walk
Nope.
away when they're, still there in your face.
Yep.
I I agree with you though. I don't understand if your only exposure to the paranormal are television programs, then you're trying to be that person.
Yeah.
And that's going to get you in trouble because it gets him in trouble a lot. But we
Yep.
don't all have exorcists on staff, right?
No, no, we do
You
not.
don't want to find that and take it home with you, but
No,
it's
nope.
really silly.
Yeah, I definitely don't want my life altered that way.
No, thank you.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Being respectful to respectful spirits. That's
Well, I try to be respectful to spirits in body and out. you know, if
yep.
you if you if you make it where it can't happen, then that's on you. But there's no reason to try to. I don't like provoking. I
Yeah,
think provoking is silly. But if
I
you're
agree.
going to get interaction, you will.
I agree. Yep.
What is your strangest experience in the Doss house so far,
Oh boy.
personally?
Oh, okay. Okay. So, my strangest or scariest or
Tell me both.
um, so my strangest would be so shortly after we bought the property, it does, it has heat and it has running water and all of that. I mean, well, now it does. So it had those things, they just weren't functioning or properly maintained.
Hmm.
So we were out there and I had the HVAC guy there. And there was several of us and we were doing, roofing work and trying to, putting up support structures in the basement, and the HVAC guy was there, and there's only one bathroom and it's in the barber shop. So I was over there. Now everybody's outside. We're all doing like groundwork and roofing work. So it's a nice day and we're all out there. And the HVAC guy's down in the basement, in the old part of the basement. And he's down there working on the furnace. And so I went in and went to the bathroom, and I come out of the bathroom, and the way that the barber shop is set up is, so if you're looking down, say you're looking down at a room. So when you come up, say here's the ramp, and
Hmm.
the bathroom is like right here.
Okay.
So when you walk out of the bathroom, you're facing the big open barber shop and the ramp's over here.
Okay.
So I come out of the bathroom, and out of the corner of my eye, I seen a man with, he had like dark brown pants on and like a gray, like kind of like a work shirt, like almost like a mechanic's kind of shirt,
Hmm.
but their sleeves were rolled up, in a ball cap. And I seen him walk down the ramp, and I thought it was my HVAC guy. And I was like, "Hey, John, what are you doing? Hey, bud." So down the ramp I go, and I'm like, "Wow, man, he's fast." So I go through the kitchen and I go through the dining room and out the front door I go, and I'm like, and everybody's standing out there having, a little bit of a smoke break. And I'm like, "Where did John go?" And they're like, "Who?" And I was like, "The HVAC guy, where'd he go?" And they were like, "He didn't come out here." And I was like, "Okay, well, maybe he went down the basement stairs, because in the dining room is where the doorway is down to the basement that way." So I go and open up the door, and I walk down and I walk through the new part of the basement, and I duck under to go to the old part of the basement, and he's in there, and I'm like, "Hey, John." Well, he jumped, banged his head off of the furnace. I started I said, "Were you just upstairs?" He's like, "No, I've been down here for like the last hour." And I was like, who was in the barber shop with me? So that was probably my weirdest.
Cool.
My, my scariest was the night that me and my wife went out there to do some B-roll like shooting, and she's has the camcorder, and she goes across the road, and she's like, okay, so I need you to like be in the house. I'm gonna be over here. I'm gonna be filming. She's like, so turn off all the lights and just like hunker down and like slowly open the front door, and I'll be like zooming in. So then, and then all of a sudden, she said, so then the door will open and I'll slowly walk over, and then we'll start, shooting film of the inside of the house. And I was like, okay. I don't get generally scared.
Right.
I've never been chased out or ran out of any location that we've ever been at. And so I'm like, okay, no problem. So she goes across the road and she's standing there videoing. I go in, I turn off the light in the living room. So I shut the door, I turn the light off, and I hunker down so she can't see me through the window. And I have my hand on the door. And just as I did that, literally, I felt whatever it was come rushing from the dining room through the living room right up to my ear, and then it growled. I
Get
flung
out.
that. Nope, I am not
Oh my
joking you.
goodness.
I flung that door open, went screaming and running across the road, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm done. I'm not doing this." And Sean was like, what was that? And I was like, didn't you hear it? She's like, no. And I was like, something growled in my ear. Like I could literally feel it, just like almost like it loaded fast. Whatever it was come rushing, and
Right.
it stopped right there. And it's like I could feel its breath as it was growling at me. I've never been so afraid in my life. And she was like, I was shaking. And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm no, I don't think I am." She's like,
No.
"Well, we don't have to do this." I'm a very determined person and I'm very stubborn. And I was like, "No, F this. I'm doing this. I'm not being afraid or getting chased out of my own house.
Nope.
I'm going back in." She's like, "Okay." I said, "But you got to be ready."
We're
Because
not dilly dallying with this.
we're not, we can't be like taking forever out here. So she's like, okay, I'll be ready. So she gets over there and I said, are you rolling now? I said, just start rolling. We're cut all of that out. And she's like, okay, okay. So I get in there and I'm like, now I'm feeling very uneasy. And
Sure.
which is odd for me because usually I talk myself like, because I know that they feed off of
Yes.
what I'm feeling. So I was like, I can do this. I'm talking myself into it. I can do this. So I'm like, oh, and I'm like, okay, babe, you're rolling, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm rolling. I'm like, okay. So I shut the door, don't even take my right hand off of the doorknob. I take my left hand and I hit the light switch, and I just about get ducked down under the window. And here it comes again. I
No
literally could,
way.
yep, I literally could feel it coming, and I couldn't even get the door open fast enough. And it got there, and I froze in kind of like a hunkered down motion, and it growled at me, and I flung that door open, tears down, and I went running across the road. And I said, "Nope, fuck this. I'm done. I'm done. I can't
Oh
do
my
it. I'm sorry. I can't do it." She's like, "It's okay. I got it." And as I'm running across the road the second time, she hears a big bang behind me. And she was like, "Oh my God, did you hear that?" And I was like, "Nope,
nope.
I didn't."
I'm busy.
Because all I could hear is me running across the road.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, I can't. I said, I'll go back in the house, but you're coming with me, and I can't do that again. I said, because
Mm-mm.
I said, I've never in my life experienced anything like that. And I have seen and heard some crazy stuff.
I
It,
would have tripped out too.
I, it's almost like I couldn't even get out the door fast
Hmm.
enough because I was behind the door. So it literally, and it was the weirdest feeling because it was literally, I know for a fact, it was literally like right there.
Yep.
And I was like, oh man, it was a tough one. So that was my weirdest and my scariest at the DOS.
That is unbelievable. And there is
And
the Doss house.
there is the little beauty herself.
That is a beautiful house. I'm
Yeah,
serious. Thank you,
yeah,
Carl. That is
yeah,
just absolutely gorgeous. And,
yeah, she is.
I love the ivy. That's beautiful.
I know, me too.
The whole house is just absolutely fantastic.
Thank
Now,
you.
I want to talk about your fundraiser that's coming up because you were
Uh,
talking about getting information from spirits that are there, possibly. And I know that you've had
yes.
people there to do that. But I do also know that Patty Negri is going to be participating in this awareness program. And I investigated with her. She was part of an event that my friend was um, at the Winchester House.
Okay.
And she's really, really very good. And if you
Yes,
have
we're
questions,
so excited to get have her.
well, the whole crew that you have coming, we're going to talk about that too. But here we go. It's the
Yeah.
So this is actually going to be a brilliant event. And where are they going to be investigating?
Well, right now the festival is being held at the Old Stone Jail in Evansburg, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
And on Friday night, Blue Bodie is going to be actually at the Doss House.
How cool.
They're they're going to be investigating the Doss House and doing that. And then Saturday night, Patty is going to be at the Doss House with her private event and
Is she
her.
going to do a seance?
She is.
You're going
She
to love
is.
that. She is so good at that.
She is. Actually, yeah, they both are. So we're gonna
Hmm.
have it Blue on Friday and Patty on Saturday. And then Saturday evening after the festival, because the festival runs from 11 a.m. to 7
Hmm.
and it's free to the public. It costs nothing for anybody to get in.
Yeah.
And we have and then after that, we have tours of the jail and we have a free roam investigation with
Oh my
all of our
goodness.
celebrities of the jail. Yeah,
Well,
so
and there's
pretty excited.
Santi.
Yeah, there's Santi. Yep, he'll be there. He'll be high on all over the place.
He does. He is big on the high yeah nation.
Yeah, he is.
So
Yeah,
he
he
is
is.
he is somebody that I love being around. He's
Yeah,
one of my favorite people in the field.
his energy is unlike anybody else's.
True.
And it's captivating and it's contagious.
It
You
is
could be having
contagious.
such I've only had the pleasure of being around him a couple times at the
Hmm.
Gettysburg Bash,
Yeah,
and I could be having such a bad moment because sometimes that happens,
it
especially when I'm
does.
in a big crowd and there's a lot of people and I kind of get overwhelmed. So it kind of takes me to a weird place, but um then I hear him high on from clear across the convention center,
Yeah,
and there for a brief moment everything was all better.
it's all
So
clear. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And I
so
love that he brings that from having been in such a dark place himself.
exactly.
And the way that he is so strong to support people who have suicided and to prevent veteran suicide. You know,
Yeah.
he is really one of the people that are making such a big difference in the world, other than, you know, just doing it for him. He is, he uses his celebrity for such a great cause. And
Yeah.
and he's so much fun and nice too.
I know.
So,
Yes. Yes, he is. Yes, he
but,
is. Yep.
and I just think that's going to be so special. You've got so many people. Tell them about some of the other people that you have that are going to be
Oh my
supporting you here.
oh my goodness. We have Heather Mazzarato
Mm.
from yeah, Princess Diaries,
People were so
Hostel.
excited to see her name.
Yeah, right. I mean,
So
she's gonna be there. Like I said, Blue Bodie's gonna be there, Patty Negri's gonna be there, Santi's gonna be there, Ernie Atwell is gonna be there.
I like
He's
him
also
too.
yes, he also is an amazing, kind human.
Yes, he
Like
is.
he also has, that smile. Oh, if you get a smile from Ernie, it
Yeah.
just lights up your day.
Yes, it
That's for
does.
sure. Yeah, he's a good human. We have so many. We have, oh my goodness, I don't can't even think of all of them. Um, Goodness, girl, you put me on the spot.
Yeah. Just ignore that. We'll come back
Yeah,
to it.
because there's like I don't know, 20 of them.
There's a ton of people, and they
I
can check
know.
it out online. They can go to the
Yes,
Doss
they
House
can.
and you find it on Facebook. It's not hard. And
It's not.
it's just absolutely going to be a
And
brilliant event.
and we have so much stuff going on. Like we have paranormal theories going to be there.
Really?
We're doing yes, they are. We have Spirit Realm is there. We have live podcast from the event all day long with Spirit Realm, Paranormal
Spirit Realm
Theory.
Network?
Yes.
Who's going to be there from Spirit Realm Network?
Candy Howard is going to be there.
Cool.
And I'm not sure of
A
the
friend of mine owns
gentleman's.
that network. I just love them.
Yeah. So they're going to be there. Paranormal Theory is going to be there, which we're doing. They have solo investigations set up for them in the dungeon that night. So basically, everybody gets you sign up for a 15-minute slot. You can go down there in the
That's
dungeon all
excellent.
by yourself, and they'll be there. They're not going to be there. Their equipment's going to be there.
Right.
It's going to be filming, and they're even leaving. So it's going to be a solo.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yes.
We got things for kids. We have a kids corner. We have face painting and we have coloring, and you can go get autographs of all the stars on your picture that you colored. Irene's going to be there. Yep, she just popped in.
I see that.
Yeah. We have duck games for the kids and prizes. Like I said, we have food vendors and drink vendors, and Bree's going to be there. All of these people are going to be there. Yeah, Kids Corner.
Hi, Rachel. You know, I think that this is going to be one of the better paranormal events that I've ever heard of. I wish that I was closer and that I hadn't just been traveling for a week so that I could be there.
Kat, I
That's,
wish you were closer too. You're going to have to come
well,
next year. This is all
I
my
am,
wife's doing.
I will do it.
This is all Shawnna. She worked
Well,
super hard. She
she
has
was,
worked literally nonstop for 6 months.
I think that I surprised her because I was like, I'm seeing this and, you know, I have a connection to this name. So I wanted to talk to you about this. And would you like to come on? And she was like,
that,
um, yeah,
and, then,
okay.
and then that's when
So,
she was like, babe,
yeah,
I got so much to do. Can you do this for me, please?
yes. And we have Cheryl in here.
Hey,
So,
Cheryl. Hey, girl.
you know,
Cheryl's one of our group.
I just
Cheryl
love the
was
support you
Holly's
have.
best friend.
Really.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Cheryl, that you lost somebody so special in your life too.
Yeah.
But I
But we
think
took
that
her
what you're
in.
doing, I think that what you're doing here honors her so much.
Yes, and we actually are having a memorial table at the festival for anybody that comes to the festival can bring a pictures, it doesn't matter, of anybody or anything that was special to you and put it on a memorial table and we will have a
Oh
memorial
my
at
gosh.
3:33.
That is, that's one of the best things I've ever heard of. Hi, Diane. Well,
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
Well,
I knew the other stuff. I knew the names. I knew the big discussion things. But what's blown me away is that this is so special to so many people.
it seems to be very special to many people and we haven't even had the event yet. So
Yeah.
that's pretty exciting.
Well,
And my
yeah.
wife is excited because it really truly means so very much to her. So,
Well,
and
when you get the chance to honor somebody that was so special, because you know, the Doss House you got because of Holly. And then this is just a way to further that that honoring,
mhm,
and you're bringing other people in. I like that you're doing the memorial table so that people can honor theirs too.
yeah,
And you know it's kind of like, Santee does his work to
yeah,
honor all veterans, especially the ones that are struggling, and to hopefully help them to get help before they do make that final decision and action. And, it's just really every so often you'll come across something. We always talk about peer unity, right? And it's so difficult to find real peer unity
mm,
because there's there's a lot of emotion that goes into what we do in the paranormal field. There's a lot of ego in the paranormal field sometimes because everybody wants to be getting the best evidence and they want to be the best paranormal investigator. And what matters is being the best paranormal investigator that you can be.
yeah,
It's not about being the star of the community. And I think that when we get all of these people, and it says a lot about y'all, and I'm going to be the one talking here for just a minute because you won't say this.
yeah,
But it really is about y'all. You know, people care about this site, people care about this story of Holly. People care about you and Shawnna and what y'all are trying to do. And I think that that really speaks volumes for for y'all as people. And hey, Tom McNicholas, I think that the whole experience is going to be so special for people because anytime you're involved in something that brings this kind of positivity into a full circle, that the magic happens.
yeah.
And I think it's cool, and I'm so glad that you're here. We still have 15 minutes, so you can't stop talking. But
Okay.
I'm just, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm
Nobody's
just,
ever told me that.
I know, right? Nobody ever has to tell me that either.
I'm
But
the, like I said, I'm not usually the talker. It's usually my wife.
yeah, but but I think it really speaks volumes for what y'all are doing and what people think of the work that you're doing to bring this house and this special location to the forefront. I'm really
Mhm.
proud of y'all. Y'all have done so much. And
Well,
it's
thank you,
obvious that other
Kat.
people are too.
Yeah,
So,
I think so. I I I agree with you. There are times that I struggle with this paranormal community because I don't like drama.
right.
I really don't. I'm the kind of person that kind of just I just walk away or I shut down. Like I don't like junior high kind of
Oh my
games.
gosh. Yes.
I just don't. I don't. Yeah, it's a struggle for me. And our lives have had some drama, not necessarily. I mean, but like since we've become a bigger part of the paranormal community,
Hmm.
um, I think it just is now we can see it more and
Yeah.
we hear it from other people and it's still our choice. We still choose to be like really not a part of it. So we try to, maintain true to who we are and what we want and what we believe and not being a part of junior high like games.
Right.
Um yeah, but it is hard. It is hard because there are a lot of people not necessarily in the paranormal community, but outside the paranormal community that like to have their own opinions about us, and put them
Yeah.
out there and, cause a little turmoil, that's not really needed when if they would just get to know us, they would know that we're just really good humans. I mean,
Well,
good enough humans, that we operate on your loved ones every single day and save them. And
yeah.
good enough humans that we have a free festival for you and your family to come and enjoy. It's just, they just need to get to know us. But I do have to say, I'm going to give a shout out to Dark Hollow Paranormal because
Yes.
they had a huge part of helping us. We needed help. We called upon them. They're a big paranormal group back home, and they all come out and stepped up and helped clean up the jail, get things ready, and such short notice because we literally only had 30 days to get ready
Yeah.
at this location. So big shout out to Dark Hollow for
Well,
actually being true para unity there.
there's a lot of lip service for pure unity. So
Yeah,
it's really nice. It's really nice when you come across the real thing. Hi, Susan. And
exactly.
it's so special because it's really there. It is
It is.
really there.
It
And
is.
the few people that blow it, right? Um, but just can't do it. Yeah, they
Yep.
give such a bad rap to icky, to that.
Yeah.
And they make it seem like an icky thing because people only pay attention, it seems like sometimes, to the negative. That's what people talk about. People talk about
Right.
the negative. And
Exactly.
it's so wrong because there's so
It,
much more positive. There
it
is so
is.
much more
And
positive.
right. And maybe we
So,
should all, kind of take a step back and start thinking about that a little bit more instead of just, you know,
yeah,
oh, somebody did something good. So, okay, that's great. But like maybe we should recognize that part a little bit more. Or maybe we should make crazy junior high posts on Facebook about how great something is instead of
yeah.
junior high posts about how, shitty something is or somebody is. Or so, I mean, maybe, as humans, because I've always, I say to my wife all the time, I don't really, human beings are not my favorite. So,
I like dogs personally. So,
Yeah,
you know,
us too. We have 7.
I
Uh,
I usually have 4. I have 2 now.
yeah,
And
we have 7. So we
yeah,
definitely choose animals over
yeah,
human beings. But, maybe we should, start putting out there all of the good things that, that some humans do. We don't have to always just look at all the crap whining on Facebook.
that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that, I was just like, and I reached out to Shawnna a while back and she didn't know me. And so I reached out again today. It's like, or yesterday, and I'm like, would you like to do this? Because this happened. And she's like, hesitant, right? And I'm like, I'm really a nice person. I just really think that this is going to be such a great event, and really want to support the Doll's House because there is probably a connection somewhere along the line. It's not a common name, and I'm just fascinated that all these people are coming together to do this. You know,
Yeah,
it's so fantastic.
it
She was
is.
like,
It is
okay,
fantastic.
how do I do that? So it was really terrific. And I'm just so excited for y'all that your community is doing terrific. And she says that so proud of you. You did amazing. And you're not done yet, but you are doing amazing.
Thanks, babe.
So, oh, she said she was trying to figure out if it was a scam. No, I'm really here. But well, because we're not in the same area. So
Yeah.
sometimes, I just always assume because I've done this for so long that everybody knows who I am, but not always. So I was just really glad that it worked out. And tell people, what is the name of it?
The Creep It Real Festival.
Isn't that awesome? I love that
It,
name.
it is
So
awesome.
yeah.
It is
And
awesome.
I love that you're calling it a festival because that's such a positive, you know, it's not like a con, or which,
No, and
not derogatory about cons because they have their place. But what you're doing is celebrating the Doll's House,
exactly.
you know,
And
and
it's more appropriate. We feel that it's more appropriate that it's a festival. It's, a gathering. It's fun. It's
yes.
all walks of life and likes and, interests. It's not just certain things. It's so many things. We have, little Grammys bringing, homemade peanut butter fudge to
Yeah.
soy, made candles to ghost hunting equipment to like so it's a big variety. It's not just towards the paranormal. It's actually probably pretty far from that. Most of our vendors are not paranormal.
Yeah.
So it's just honestly, it's for the community. It's for everybody. Everybody can come and enjoy it. And I'm sure there is a vendor there for everybody that you will find something that you will love.
I would agree with you.
So
And
yeah,
it's your community. You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
before we wrap this, I wanted to ask you, a lot of times when you come into a small community like this and it's not your home community, um, there's mixed response from the public there. What have you found to be the case?
With the festival or with the Doss House?
Well, with what you're doing at the Doss House, moving on into the festival.
Well, the community that the Doss House is in,
Hmm.
um, is definitely not for us
Right.
being there. They're not for um, what what we're there for. They have their own concept of what we are, which is definitely not paranormal investigators.
Mm-hmm.
They have been very crude, and our festival was supposed to be there in
Mm-hmm.
that community until they wronged us 31 days prior to the festival. So basically, they canceled a contract that was not able to be canceled, with a pretty unprofessional letter in the mail. Um, so that's why my wife scurried about, and um, Dave Davis, the owner of the Old Stone Jail,
Mm-hmm.
um, met with my wife, and he said that we could absolutely, free of charge, use his facility, which
Isn't that
also
awesome?
is a haunted, also a
Yes.
haunted facility.
Yes, it is.
So,
And a good one too.
because it is. So we upgraded, for sure. It's just a shame that that small Catholic community had to um, be so judgmental and not actually get to know us or know what the festival is about, even
And
though
lose
they
out on
did.
revenue too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because of us, they have actually missed out on a lot of revenue in the last few weeks,
Right.
um, because apparently they're very, very afraid of us because we're
Because
very,
you're so
very,
scary.
very scary looking. I mean, my hat hair is, but that's about the extent of it today.
Your hair
That
looks
is
actually fine, so,
that is kind of frightening, Kat. It's kind of frightening out
nah,
there.
I'm
But
tougher than that.
yeah, so it's a shame, um, because we could have brought so much more to their community
Yeah.
than they could even fathom.
Yeah. Well, I know what the paranormal community can do, as you do.
Yes.
And, it's just really such a bizarre take on things that the fear or
I-
judgmentalism,
Yeah. Eh,
bigotry
yes, yes.
raises it
Oh,
raises its head and creates such havoc sometimes, and they're the ones that miss out.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
They're definitely the ones that are missing out. And then the neighboring town of Evansburg, Pennsylvania, where the Old Stone Jail is definitely, that
not
town is
missing
definitely
out.
going to make out.
They are not missing out.
No, they are
Well,
not, and they know. They know.
yeah,
That's why that town was on board, and they're much willing to help us out because they know what this could be every year for their
yes,
small community.
absolutely. Well, you
Yeah.
just rock
So
'em because I'm so proud of y'all and I'm so happy for y'all. And if I could
thank you, Kat.
possibly be there, I would be in a heartbeat. I just got home. Dogs are still
Next
tripped
year.
up 'cause we were gone so long, but next year I'm coming. So
Okay.
I think it's
Well,
going to be a blast.
we better see you
And
there then.
you got it. And we will do
Yes.
promo and live videos from there too. So,
Yes.
but
Absolutely.
yes. So we will do this again and we're going to have to go. I am just so glad you were here. And I think we've covered where it's going to be, how to find it. Go to the DOS house and
Doss House, Loretto, Pennsylvania.
hyphen DOS, DOSS house on Facebook. You'll find it.
Well,
And all the deets are there. So go get it,
absolutely.
go play and enjoy everything and give Santi a great big old hi ya and a hug from me when you see him.
I
So,
will. I
all
will.
right. And for everyone listening, thank you so much. You're the reason we do these shows, and we will be back next week. Same cat time, same cat channel. Thanks.